In the previous video, it was evidenced how to anyone but a Muslim, Mutah marriage is prostitution, all but in name, which still remains lawful to Shia Muslims today. Nevertheless, Sunni Muslims claim it has been abrogated, although it could be argued otherwise if the previous video is viewed. Even if it is, there is no getting away that in early Islam, via Allah and Muhammad, prostitution was allowed, but Sunni Muslims will still distance themselves from it completely. However, in order to circumvent Mutah, they have surreptitiously invented other types of pleasure and temporary marriages that are still practiced today by Sunni Muslims, but they will never refer to it as Mutah. All they have done is disguised it with a few minor changes and changed its name. Examples of these will be shown in this video. The first of which is Nikah Misyar. It is another no strings attached type of marriage, where the only two differences from Mutah is that the couple continue to live separately from each other and the ceremony is conducted with witnesses. Other than that, the couple are legally allowed to engage in sexual intercourse on a visitation basis, which is the main purpose of this type of marriage. If the man is already married, his first wife does not need to be informed. It can be conducted in secret and is the primary reason misyar marriages take place. Here is an article by a senior Sunni Muslim scholar called Yusuf Al-Qardawi explaining the legitimacy of misyar marriage within Sunni Islam. He says such marriages are socially unacceptable, but there is a difference between what is Islamically valid and what is socially acceptable, that is not to be condemned as forbidden merely on social repugnance. In islamweb.net, a website based in Doha in Qatar, overseen by a committee of highly regarded Sunni Muslim scholars, endorsed by the Qatari Ministry of Religious Affairs, in a question about misyar marriage published in 2001. The original Arabic is on the left. In the translation, it can be seen that it explains there are two main types of misyar. The first is when a contract is concluded between the spouses, fulfilling all the pillars and conditions required, such as the presence of a dowry, a guardian, and two witnesses. However, the husband stipulates in the contract that maintenance or housing be waived, such that she lives in her home and he comes and visits her at her home. He is not obligated to provide housing or maintenance for her. In the second form, the husband does not need to stipulate that the maintenance be waived, but stipulates that there is no commitment to the division of the night, meaning how often he sleeps with her. It also admits that this type of marriage happens because the man has a desire to hide this marriage from his wife and children, meaning he is already married. Ibn Abi Shayba is quoted, a Muslim scholar who died in the 9th century, who narrated on the authority of Amir al-Sha'bi, who lived in the 8th century during the time of Muhammad's companions, when he was asked about a man who has a wife and marries the woman and stipulates for this one a day and for that one 2 days, he said there is nothing wrong with it. He also reported that Al-Hasan al-Basri, another major Muslim scholar who lived at the time of Muhammad's companions, did not see anything wrong with the condition that it is made public. It goes on to admit some may think that misyar marriage is a temporary marriage, but it is not so. The idea that a woman gives up some of her rights in a marriage are extrapolated from Muhammad's own treatment of his multiple wives. An oft-cited example was when Muhammad threatened to divorce Sauda, his older and not so attractive wife, for the sake of the younger Aisha. So as Muhammad did not divorce her and leave her neglected, Sauda relinquished her night by allowing him extra nights with Aisha. according to Quran commentators such as Ibn Kathir. He says Quran 4:128 was revealed about this incident. The victims of misyaa marriage are often vulnerable women, where the men exploit them sexually by marrying them temporarily, knowing full well that they can divorce them at any time and then go back to the main wife. In Modu, self-proclaimed as the largest Arabic website in the world, it explains in misyaa marriage, the wife the man marries has to give up some of her rights with her own consent and goodwill, such as accommodation, support or maintenance for herself or her children if she bears children from this man. She should be satisfied with him coming to her from time to time, which means this type of marriage is only for sex. In Aloka Sharia, it explains it can be done in secret, as it often is, usually to hide the relationship from others, including his own family. Bearing in mind in Islam polygamy is allowed, it is primarily done to hide it from the first or main wife. This will be evidenced next. As misyaa marriage is permissible, it is practiced all over the Sunni Muslim world, including in so-called conservative Saudi Arabia. In the Arab News 2005, it says the arrangement is on a visitation basis, that the man's family is usually in the dark about such marriages, be it his first wife or other members of his family. In the 2014 Arab News, it says it's widespread, that the marriages are kept a secret due to the objection of the first wife or other family issues. In the Arab Weekly, it acknowledges this type of marriage promotes promiscuity. Within Sunni Islam, there are other types of convenient marriages such as nikah urfi. This is a customary temporary marriage contract that is not officially registered with state authorities. It is usually carried out by younger couples, usually teenagers, boyfriend and girlfriend, who do not want to inform their family of the relationship but want to enjoy the privileges of marriage. As such, it is popular amongst university and college students, as it explains in this article. In this type of so-called marriage, they only need repeat the words, "we got married," and pledge their commitment period in front of a couple of people of their choosing and exchange a small gift. Once done, then they can do everything that a married couple are allowed. There are many other informal ways in which urfi marriage takes place, sometimes a paper stating that the two are married, whilst others may voice record their commitment or use other forms of documentation. In Islam Web, although it frowns upon this type of marriage, it explains it is valid provided it fulfills the pillars of Islam, namely some kind of a dowry and witnesses to the union. Also in Sunni Islam, there is another marriage of convenience called nikah safar, or traveller's marriage, which is another religious imprimatur to sexual relations that frees the man from financial obligations of traditional marriages, but with the benefits of allowing sexual intercourse and intimacy. It is a type of so-called marriage contract in Sunni Islam, where the travelling man becomes a temporary husband to a woman he will call his wife for a period whilst he is away. For the contract to be binding, they are to agree some marital rights such as any time together and of course the exchange of money or gift. The practice is often used in some Islamic countries to give a legal recognition to licentious behaviour via temporary contractual marriages that might otherwise be considered adulterous to anyone else but a Muslim. Here is an article exposing such rulings and the widely shared screenshot or tweets posted by a Saudi scholar explaining what travel marriages are in response to a question by one of his followers. He said, quote, "These marriages are for men who travel excessively and so to protect themselves by marrying with the intention to divorce once they leave the country they visit." Sheikh al-Maghamsi, a Sunni scholar from Saudi Arabia who held the prestigious position of being the Imam of the Quba Mosque in Medina, the first mosque built by Muhammad after he migrated from Mecca to Medina, on the subject of travelers' marriage in a video which can be found in the description, albeit it is in Arabic, but English subtitles can be selected within the caption or translated independently by anyone. When asked about the traveller's marriage, and that if a man marries with the intention of divorce whilst he is travelling for that period of temporary stay, the Sheikh says it is permissible providing the relationship is performed within an Islamic framework. In other words, for a traveller who wants to have sex with a woman, he can, providing he marries her first. He does not necessarily need to disclose to her at the time that he intends to divorce her after his travel. So quite clearly, this is done so that he can enjoy her temporarily whilst he's on travel. In an article with the rulings from a prominent Saudi scholar, Ibn Baz, formerly one of the most senior scholars in Saudi Arabia, explains the traveller's marriage. In a direct translation of the Arabic, it says if a man travelled and married another woman with the intention of divorcing her, then there is nothing wrong with that. So in conclusion, Muslims often portray themselves as chaste and virtuous as opposed to the decadent and dissolute non-Muslim, especially when it comes to sexual matters. But in reality, every kind of debauchery and lecherous behavior is justified, provided one does it within an quote-unquote Islamic framework. Even when it comes to Sunni Islam not allowing Mutah anymore, which is prostitution all but in name, who often ridicule Shia Muslims when in fact it was instituted by their Prophet and Allah. But to get around this problem within Sunni Islam, they have created other so-called marriages of convenience, such as Nikah Misyar, Urfi and Safar. These are all examples of a mockery of what a real marriage should be. And there is a reason why these so-called marriages have been given special names, because, like Mutah, these are all examples of temporary, unofficial marriages, nor is there any normal marital responsibilities in any of them. The union is based on sexual relations, for the man fulfilling his base desires, and for the woman who receives a gift and companionship. These marriages are often clandestine, which could be called off at any time without anyone else being none the wiser. This is all from a religion that preaches high standards of sexual purity and morality to everyone else. In reality, nothing could be further away from the actual truth.